What is happening, investors? It is your boy Jack, and today we're going to have a look at my 5 biggest investments in the stock market. Today I was going to make a video on airlines after everything that happened with Warren Buffett. I was going to make a video on Carnival and Norwegian because they've came out and announced when they plan on starting to sail again. I was going to make a video on, this imminent stock market crash that everybody's talking about. But I decided, let's just have one of these chill out videos where we just speak about the stocks that I personally own and what I think about them. And I think I can make those other videos I just spoke about better in a few days time when more news comes out. So today we'll be speaking about the 5 stocks that I have put the most money into personally, how they've done for me so far, how I feel about them, and what my plan is with them going forwards. So guys, right before we get into it, I've set myself a goal of reaching 3,000 subscribers by Monday. I know it's a big ask, but I think we can do it. If we keep going at this rate, we will 100% get there. So if you're not a part of the family yet, please do hit that big red button. And just drop me that sub, man. It's completely free. Hit the video a like while you're down there and drop me a comment with your thoughts on any of the stocks we speak about today or your biggest personal investments. I'm always interested to hear. With all of that being said, guys, let's get straight into the video. We're going to start it off with the biggest, and the biggest for me is currently Delta Airlines. You will see on the screen now I currently own 16 shares in these guys with an average price of $25.82. And yesterday I actually bought 4 more shares going off of the news that Warren Buffett had sold all of his. And I did quite well. I got in pretty much at the very bottom. You'll see we had a fill price of $20.61 and it actually closed off at $22.60. So that was quite a good time to get in. I got quite lucky. It had gone down like 13% on the day when I got in. So I got in at the perfect time. These guys take up about 7.4% of my total portfolio. A lot of people will probably think I'm crazy. 1, for buying these guys yesterday, and 2, for having them as my single biggest position. I've given my thoughts on these guys an awful lot in the past. You'll see here the first time I actually bought them was all the way back in the 17th of March. I bought at almost the worst time possible at a fill price of $33.73. So I've done a great job of getting my cost basis down quite a bit. So you can see right here, 17th of March, that is where I bought. Very quickly, within a matter of days, I was down over 30%. It rebounded and I just kept buying as it got lower and lower, and now we're not doing quite as bad. When I first started buying Delta, I viewed them as a high risk stock. And with high risk stocks, generally you want high rewards. And as time has gone on, as this last month and a half or so has gone on, I no longer see Delta as a high risk stock, but I still see those high rewards. So it's a no-brainer to me. I am going to keep investing in these guys. I've spoken about their Q1 earnings in 3 or 4 videos right now. I don't want to bore you guys, but I will say it really quickly in case there's any new viewers here. They've received 2.7 billion of the 5.4 billion that's expected over the next few months from the government very recently. 3.8 billion of that is direct aid, and 1.6 billion is a low interest unsecured 10-year loan. They've taken action to reduce their total cost base by over 50% in this quarter. So they've reduced their daily spending from about 100 million a day down to 50 million a day. So they've gotten a lot more money in and they're spending a lot less money. They are still running a few flights, so be it. Their passenger load is, I believe, 5% of where it normally is, so they may as well be making no money. But what also has to be kept in mind is airlines are an essential service, and Delta are the biggest US airline. They have the most revenue, the most profit, the most assets, and the biggest market cap. Trump has come out and said he supports these guys. Trump needs these guys. The US needs these guys. They're not going to let them go bankrupt. They're not going to let them go anywhere. At the start, bankruptcy was a real fear, and that's why it was a high risk, high reward stock. Whereas now, the chance of bankruptcy is so slim, it's not even worth mentioning in my opinion. I'm a long-term investor. I also would like to consider myself to be somewhat of a value investor. So I want to buy stocks, when they're at relatively cheap prices, if I get the chance. Right now is different than the stock market will be for 95% of my life. Most of the time, I won't have to think about it. I'll just buy a stock regardless of the price. But when there's so much volatility in the market right now, you really have to keep your eye out for the deals. So take yesterday, for example. When I see a company as absolutely massive of Delta drop 13% in a matter of an hour of market open, I am 100% going to pick up some shares. They're a company I've done my research on. They're a company I 100% believe in the long term. It would make no sense to not buy them. And with me saying that doesn't mean that I think the worst of it's over. It doesn't mean that we're never going to see a red day again. It doesn't mean that I don't believe that they could potentially go lower than that $20 mark. But from a long-term perspective, I think these prices are absolutely incredible, and that's why I will continue to buy them. I think the fact that they're my biggest stock that I hold right now speaks for itself. So that was stock number 1, Delta Airlines. My biggest investment, definitely one of my riskier investments. So now on to stock number 2. This here is stock number 2. It is Google. And I only bought these guys for the first time a couple of days ago. So these guys are a $1,300 stock. So I do only have 0.2 of a share in them, and it is still my second biggest investment at an average price of $1,328 pretty much. Now I don't think I need to explain why I've bought Google, but I suppose that's the whole reason of this video. So I will do very quickly. So let's just have a quick look at the balance sheet. Total current assets, nearly 150 billion, okay? And then we have a look at total assets, 273 billion. Current liabilities, 40 billion, man. 40 billion current liabilities, and total liabilities just under 70 billion. This is one of the best balance sheets in the whole world. 90% of Alphabet's revenue comes from Google, which is ads, their search, YouTube, apps, Android, and maps. That's where 90% of these guys' money are coming from. None of these things are going to be hit hard because of the virus going on now, and none of these things are going to be hit hard once the virus passes. So both in the short term and the long term, the prospects are absolutely perfect. And it's one of those companies, when you just look at the max stock chart, it's just absolutely beautiful. It's nothing but up and up and up, and you know, on this channel we absolutely love up and up and up, and they've barely been hit. We look at their peaks down to the very bottom, they had dropped 30%. I wish I was looking at these guys back then. And they're still down about just over 10%, so they're not down very much whatsoever. I think if you can get these guys at any sort of a discount, it's a good price, and that's why I was more than happy to get in when I did just a few days ago. You don't have to be a genius to understand what these guys do. You use their products. If you're watching this video, you're supporting one of their products. If you watched my ads, you are supporting Google and me all at the same time. It's a win-win for everybody. Balance sheet is absolutely beautiful. Long-term and short-term prospects are beautiful. Fundamentals are in place. They're in one of the strongest positions any single company in this entire world is in right now. It's a no-brainer to me. I will most certainly continue to slowly but surely build my position in these guys, even if it is 0.1 of a share at a time. Okay, so stock number 3. We are looking at Pepsi stock. And a lot of you guys, if you watch the channel, you will know just how much I absolutely love these guys. They're one of my favorite stocks in the world. Now, you will see on the screen, I own 2 shares, and I'm actually down 1.15% despite how much I love them. It is purely and entirely because I bought at quite a poor time. I bought right about here. It wasn't great whatsoever, you know, so I am still down a little bit. My current average price is at just under $134. So my entry points with Pepsi weren't particularly good, but that does not upset me in the slightest. They're performing absolutely fantastically. I wish I had have waited a little while to get into them, but you live and you learn, man. Who knew what was going to happen at the time? From peak to very bottom, they dropped just under 30%, and as of today, they're down just about 10%. So, you know, it's been quite a nice recovery for Pepsi. Quick look at the balance sheet, they're in a decent position. Current assets, 24-ish billion. Total assets, 85 billion. Current liabilities, 22 billion. And total liabilities, 71.5 billion. So, decent balance sheet. Not as good as Google, better than Delta's, but very good altogether. Pepsi's net sales rose 7.7% in their first quarter, and they've also said that they're not suspending its buyback program or cutting their quarterly dividend, so they're obviously in quite a strong position. And you know, people are going to keep buying their products despite how tough money gets. You already know I have my bottle of Pepsi Max beside me, man. I always have a bottle of Pepsi Max. I love this. It goes really well with my alcohol collection that people always seem to love pointing out. I just want to get it clear, guys. That's all whiskey. It's nice whiskey, okay? It's not cheap, you know, vodkas and stuff. It's a nice whiskey collection. Allow me, I'm not an alcoholic, I promise. But if we just think about it logically for a second, a lot of people are stuck in lockdown. A lot of people are, you know, when they go to the shops, they're stocking up on snacks, you know. You're going to get your Pepsi and you're going to get your snacks. And here's a list of 22 brands that Pepsi owns that are billion-dollar brands. So, they're in snacks and beverages. Coca-Cola is only in beverages. We don't need to get into that right now. I have a full video comparing Pepsi and Coke in the description if you want to watch that. But Pepsi, Lay's, Pepsi Max, a load of drinks I've never heard of, but if you're from the US, you will have known of. Fritos, 7-Up, Mountain Dew, Quaker, Cheetos, a lot of different things. A lot of people will still be buying the same amount of, if not more, Pepsi products because of this lockdown right now. They're stuck inside their houses. A lot of people are eating and drinking more of these products. And it's always nice to invest in products from companies that you actually use. And for me, man, I love Pepsi Max. It's probably my favourite soft drink in the world. So, you know, it's a bit of a no-brainer. I don't have any Coke Zero at my house right now. I still do invest in Coke though. But you get the picture. And again, look at the Max stock chart and it's beautiful. It's up and up and up. It's fantastic. In the last 10 years, they're up 120%. And that's where we are as of today. So they were up even higher. It's been a good rate of growth. So, that was company number 3. Now, on to numero 4. Walt Disney, baby. A controversial one. A lot of people will disagree with me, but I absolutely love these guys from a long-term point of view. So you will see, I own 2.5 shares in these guys with an average price of $98.95, and we're up just over 6.5% so far. Disney is a very, very old company, founded October 16th, 1923. Right now they've fallen on very tough times. Disneyland is obviously closed. That makes these guys an awful lot of money. ESPN isn't doing as well because there's no live sports to show. Even things like people going to the cinemas are closed, so Disney won't be making as much money from people like that. Now, there was one saving grace that came at a really good time, and that was Disney Plus. And Disney Plus had an absolutely fantastic launch and is most certainly bringing Disney in a lot of money during these tough times. Again, people are stuck indoors. They can't go anywhere. People are bored. And a lot of people have amazing childhood memories watching these Disney films. So when a service comes out that has all of these programs and films in one place and you're bored out of your mind, a lot of people are going to watch them, guys, and that's going to result in a lot of money for Disney. They also do pay a dividend of 1.68%, and they've been paying that dividend for 27 plus years. I also forgot to mention that Pepsi do as well, and their dividend is better. I think it's 2.7% and 47 plus years. It's something along those lines anyway. But if you got into Disney back in 1980 when they went public, you've made over 14,000% return so far, so you wouldn't be particularly upset. If you had to put in $1,000 back then, right now, you'd be sitting on 14 million, which is not horrible, let's be honest. Even in recent history though, 10 years ago if you would have invested, once it got to its highs, you were up 360% pretty much. As of today, you'd be up 229%. So despite everything that's happening, they've had some absolutely fantastic growth, both in recent and in long-term history. I just don't see a world without Mickey Mouse, without all of the Disney parks, without ESPN, without Disney Plus, without any of those things. Disney are also very innovative. They're always coming out with new products, you know, they're never complacent. They're always working really hard. It's a bit of a no-brainer to a person like me. You don't have to be a genius to understand Disney and how they operate. I'm really not sure how hard I expect these guys to be hit over the coming months. I really can't tell you. It could be a considerable amount of time before the parks are open back up, because it would be very, very difficult to implement social distance in the theme parks. You know, the rides aren't particularly far, the seats aren't spread far apart from each other. When we speak about the long term, when we think about the decades to come, I think they're an absolutely fantastic company. Now, the final stock of the day, my 5th biggest stock that I own. We are looking at Sysco. So one I've also had a good few people have mixed opinions on, both for and against, but one that I absolutely love. So I have 4.7 shares. I'm going to get that up to 5 shares today. I can't look at that. $44.81 average price and a return of just over 18%, which is not bad. A few things I really like about these guys, okay? So dividend saved is at 55. I don't think that's very accurate, but anyway, dividend yield of 3.4% and an uninterrupted dividend streak of 51 plus years. They are one of very few companies in this world who can say that they are a dividend king, who has paid their dividends for over 50 years in a row. They are going to do everything in their power to continue paying that dividend. So in such uncertain times like these, if you're a long-term dividend investor and you only want to invest in companies who you believe not only will grow in share price but will continue to maintain and grow their dividend, this is something that you absolutely love to see. And over the last 20 years, they've grown their dividend on average 11% per year, which is absolutely fantastic. Really quickly, what they do, just in case you don't know, they provide a full line of food products and non-food items to more than 650 customer locations. What worries a lot of people is that 62% of their sales come from restaurants. I completely understand the worry, I appreciate it, I get it completely, but from a long-term point of view, that's obviously a good thing, because a lot of these guys are shut down, which means we can get in there at a cheaper price. And restaurants, some of them are still open, some of them are still doing business, and they will open quicker than a lot of other places because it's so much easier to enforce social distancing. You know, they'll either open it, they'll have limited tables, or they'll open for delivery only, things along those lines. A lot of people where I live right now are delivering food, even if you can't go and sit down and eat their food at their restaurant. Now, their earnings were supposedly brought out today, but I can't find any information on them anywhere, not on their investors relation website. It might not even be finished yet, that may be the reason, but their earnings more than likely came out today, so we'll see what happens when they are reported. We'll see if it affects the share, what happens next. But regardless of what happens next, again, from a long-term point of view, I'm very happy. And I mean, I'm already up 18% with these guys, so some of the losses that could happen based off, you know, a bad quarter or two will be somewhat negated, alongside the fact that they do indeed pay that dividend. I've spoke about these guys before, and one line that I always have to bring up is that they're the largest global distributor of food. The world needs food. Restaurants need food. Governments need food. Where are we? Hotels and travel companies need food. Healthcare facilities. Everybody needs food, and these are the biggest distributor in the world globally. Just because a virus is happening right now doesn't mean that nobody needs food. People do still need food. And again, this is just another company that I am extremely happy to be holding right now. So that is the 5th and final stock for today, people. If you have watched until the end of this video, thank you so much. You are helping me out so much more than you know. If you're interested in seeing my entire stock portfolio, there will be a link down below to my Patreon where I share that with my patrons. We're also going to be hosting weekly calls in Discord, you know, having to chat about our outlooks for the week, my outlook for the week, what stocks I'm going to be looking at before any kind of videos go on YouTube. So if that's something you're interested in, please do check it out. You'll be supporting me immensely. Aside from that, let me know what videos you guys want to see from me, because I just want to make sure we keep them interesting. I could speak about airlines or cruise lines or the stock market crash that's coming up every single day, because there's news every single day out there, but I want to keep some variety in the channel so it doesn't just get super stale. Like, I know people love my 5 stock picks or 10 stock picks videos, but I don't want to force that. I don't want to do it every day, or else it might lose, you know, some of what it's worth, and it might just become the everyday thing, and it'll get a bit boring. So anything you want covered, I'm always interested in hearing, so please do let me know in the comments down below. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Again, please do sub if you're not yet. We are trying to get to that 3,000 sub mark. I appreciate you massively. Drop the video a like if you haven't yet, and I will see you for tomorrow's video. Peace.